And welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We are inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios, and I appreciate you being here with us Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Always good to have you here on the broadcast with us, and cannot thank you enough for being a part of the show here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. The exclusive partner of us when it comes to our studio partnership is Great Lakes Honda City, and Great Lakes Honda City is there on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. You could go and visit them Monday through Saturday for sales and service, and of course, you can get their information by going to greatlakeshondacity.com, including getting that number for sales, number for service, and you can look at their inventory of new and used vehicles. I've gotten my vehicles at Great Lakes Honda City, formerly known as Honda City of Liverpool, for over a decade now. And like I told you, and I always tell you here on the show, unless I trust it, I'm not going to support it. And I have trusted them to give me my vehicle for many years, and so I trust them for you to go over there and find your next ride today. With that being said, inside of Italy week, that's right, it's my first week back from Italy, and we've been having every single day on the show this week, we have been having card-carrying Italians and or people that have been to Italy all throughout the broadcast. And today we have Papa Joe on the show because it's Thursday, so PJ is back, and not only is he back, but he's been to Italy multiple times. So we'll be trading Italy stories as well as talking about Major League Baseball here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And I'm having a little bit of deja vu this morning, which is kind of interesting. I have deja vu. I haven't had it in a while, but I definitely get it. And now PJ and I are going to be picture in picture sharing our Italy stories and, of course, talking about sports. PJ, it's been a minute. Happy to have you back. How we doing?
Good, Daniel. Yeah, welcome back to the States. Got a little jet lag there, I'm sure, but it's all been fun.
Yeah, no,
a lot of baseball. I know that.
Yeah, no, it's and yeah, you talk about jet lag. Definitely, today I'm starting to feel a little bit better. I got home. We were up for, I was up for I think 25 hours, and so when we got home Sunday into Monday. And then I got up and did my show. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I've been kind of out of it a little bit. But today I'm feeling better. Today I'm feeling like I'm back into it, back with it. Share with everybody, PJ, how many times have you and MT been to Italy?
We've been there 2 times. We went in 2016 and 2018.
So I'd love for you to share and kind of open the floor to you. Your first trip to Italy, where'd you guys go?
We stayed specifically in Rome.
Okay.
The second trip, Rome and Florence. But what I'm going to show you and show our audience is what MT has done is that she has made an album from Shutterfly. And all I have to do is turn the pages and I can comment on whatever else I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to get these shows up there so people can see them. But in Rome, Mary's favorite place to go to was the Borghese. I can't get it up there.
Oh, the Galleria Borghese, yeah.
Yeah, Borghese. Absolutely spectacular stuff. Works by the great masters Rubens, Canova, Lanfranco, Bernini. Mary's favorite place. Actually, we went there multiple times. I think the first time we visited it twice. It's so spectacular. I was sort of in a pickle a little bit because I'm disabled, and I can't. My mobility is not what it was. Frankly, 9 years ago, I was doing pretty good. What IMC? I had my little push buggy that was with me, and of course Delta took care of that for me on the plane.
Yeah.
And I walked everywhere, both years, 26 and 18. 16 and 18, and I'm with my little buggy. As long as I could push it and stay upright, there was always places for me to sit down. But I can tell you, and of course you know, and people who want to go to Italy, is they're not set up for disabled over there. That I'll tell you. There's, when you visit Old Italy, there's so many different levels to go at. and a lot of places don't have elevators. And what the hell am I going to do? Try to go up? I'm trying to go up and down the stairs, and it was impossible for me. We had we had dinner on the Tiber River, which was beautiful, and I had to go down 2 flights of concrete steps with no railing. And I had to get down there. We had to get on a boat,
Yeah.
and it was awful. And I see Mary. I can visualize Mary
Mhm.
flapping along behind me or in front of me with my buggy, and I'm just trying to negotiate the steps. So, and in other places, there's not a lot of places to go to the bathroom over there. And if you go to some of the older buildings and the restaurants, most of the restrooms are in the second floor or third floor with no elevators. Now, you know, what Mary and I just said, if we decided to go visit a place to eat, we'd ask them, "Do you have restroom facilities here? And if they are they on the main floor?" And that went a long way to us. Um, there's so many things to talk about, and you saw a lot of them. But obviously, with the unfortunate passing of our Pope, right now, as we speak, they're going through the interregnum, trying to see if we can come up with another Pope. And with that being said, to see the St. Peter's Basilica and the Sistine Chapel was probably the epitome of any trip that you go to Rome. That's it. You see the Colosseum and these other places too, but you see the Sistine Chapel and St. Peter's Church. I mean, it's spectacular. And when you're in the Sistine Chapel, you got to look up all the time to see the art that's on the ceiling. Is what I did.
Yeah.
Is that I walked over to a little bench they had there and laid down on my back so I could see. And a henchman came over and moved me. He said, "Hey, you can't do that kind of stuff. You got to look up." I said, "All right." I said, "I can't see up." Anyway,
Well, well, PJ, I mean, I want to go. So the first night or the first day that we got there, we left on Wednesday here. We got there the equivalent of Thursday morning. And when my dad and I got there Thursday morning, I think we got there at, I think it was like 11, their morning, Italy morning time, because they're 6 hours ahead. And so we got to the hotel and all that stuff, and we went and got some food. And I remember the food that we got. I remember where we went. We went right by the hotel. And a guy gave us a place, and we got some nice food. Got some really nice food. Got some ahi tuna. I realized down in Italy they love pistachio. They put pistachio on everything. They have pistachio ice cream, a gelato. They have pistachio on their ahi tuna. They'll use it in cream. They'll sprinkle it on stuff. And so I had a lot of seafood that first night, which was really good. And you had mentioned the Sistine Chapel. So the first event that we did, and shout out to MT, I told my dad well in advance. I said, when we go to Italy, we're going to MT. She is our trip advisor, and she's going to help us get through it. So we obviously came to see you guys last year, and we wrote in December, and we wrote down all these notes. And then my dad was like kind of hemming and hawing and this and that. I was like, use the notes. And he wouldn't use them and he wouldn't use them. And then all of a sudden he goes, "Hey, where's Mary's stuff?" and all that. And then we started using the notes and he went through all of it. And I go, "Yeah, Dad, she made it really easy." And so we used the skip the line. And we end up going, we were planning out our trip. And I said, "When do you want to see the Sistine Chapel and St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican?" He's like, "You choose." I said, "Well, Friday or Saturday." So I picked Friday, pay for the tickets. And then the Pope passes away well after we had bought the tickets. And when Pope Francis passed away, may he rest in peace, in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. God bless to all the souls that have passed on. May they be back at home in heaven with God. We saw, obviously, that there could be some change. And my dad was like, "Well, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if they're going to let us in and whatever." And we wake up in the morning and Skip the Line is still there. And so we say, "Okay, I guess we're good to go." I didn't get anything in my email. So we show up at the meeting spot and we go to the Vatican. And that was on Friday. That was Friday, just to give people a timeline with everything that's been going on with the Pope. So that was Friday the 24th. And so we get down there and we skip the line. We go through all this stuff. And when you're going into the Vatican, PJ, and I didn't realize this, and you and Mary experienced this, but to people watching and listening that don't know, it is a fortress. It is surrounded by walls. There's like holes there that kind of look like they can be there for like cannons or protection. This thing is like a giant base, right? And once you're inside of it, it's pure. It's beautiful. The grass looks like God put it there and it's never been touched. It's totally green and amazing. The trees are amazing. It looks like paradise. It's quiet in certain areas. And so they give us kind of the history of the Vatican. Then they bring us in to, we're in the area. We're going through all of the art on the way to the Sistine Chapel. And as you know, when you get to the Sistine Chapel, you can't take pictures. You can't shoot video. So we get into the Sistine Chapel, and you said you laid on your back on a bench. I walked in. My dad was on my side. And I was like, I'm not going to look up until I get to the middle. I want to get to the middle. I want to get to a good spot. When I feel good, I'll look up. So I'm just walking straight, not looking up. I walk to this certain part. I stop. I turn around, and I look straight up. The first thing that I saw, PJ, standing right over me, St. Daniel.
That's good. That's good. We had an experience when we first got there the first time. We learned an awful lot of the first time. We got in late, and Mary had set up our lodging at a beautiful little place called Villa Deuce. And we told you guys about it, but it was too far out of town for you guys. You wanted to stay closer inside of Rome. So we checked in and saw the ladies. They're beautiful people. And we had to lay down and go to bed. I mean, we were sleeping. I mean, it's crazy what time it was. So we went to sleep, and we kept sleeping. And so I woke up, and I says, Mary, it's 10 o'clock. I said, we got to get going.
Yeah.
So she's showering, and I'm showering. We're all getting ready to go. We put up the shades from in the room, and it's dark out.
Yeah.
And I said, MT, it's 11 at night, not 11 in the morning. So we're shocked because that day we had the Sistine Chapels scheduled.
Yeah. So
luckily the girls there are really sharp. So they called us a little taxi. We went down and had dinner at a place right down the road from the Villa Deuce, and they serve dinners till 2:00 in the morning, and the place at midnight was crazy. It was so much fun. So that taught us a big lesson, and especially if you got skipped a line, you do great things. Yeah. I had so much good food. I'm looking at all these pages, and I wish I could show our readers some art. I should have probably thought about this beforehand. Of course, the Trevi Fountain was just finished when we got there, and it was totally redone. It was just beautiful. You were there. You sent me some pictures from there. I'm going to put this book down a little bit, and I'm going to go to the next one with Florence in it. We stayed at the same place, Villa Deuce, in Rome, and it was a good tale I got to tell about the train. I said, well, we got to take a train from Rome to Florence. Okay, no big deal. We go there, and we check in, and we pay, and everything like that. And the guy says, okay, your car's right over there. So, okay, we walk over there with my little buggy, put it in there. I look around, I don't see anyone. And I asked the gentleman, I says, where's all the people? He says, you don't have any other people. This is your coach. Handicaps have a free coach. I was shocked. Mary and I were sitting there. There's no one to talk to. And it's a huge train, and we were the only ones on it.
Yeah.
So that got us to Florence. So Florence is another one that's steeped in tradition and so much art. You just can't see. We stayed for 10 days the first time and 10 days the second time. We stayed. We flew into Rome the second time. Stayed with our friends at Villa Deuce. Went down into the Basilica again to check it out again. Went and bought our tickets for the train. Then took the train down to Florence. And this young man here I think everyone understands who this man writes. This is
Oh yeah,
this is David,
the David.
and I have him on my desktop. And people were always complimenting. I said, "How come you got that on your desktop? How did you do that?" And I said, "I went there." I said, "That's the picture I took in the hallway there." Um, for me to there was a church in Florence called the El Duomo, very famous, very old, and it was a winding tower. It goes all the way up, maybe 3 stories. And I can't do any of that. And Mary says, "Joe, I got to go over there. I got to get over there. I got to get up in there. I got to walk up in there. I got to get to the top." I says, "Okay, okay." I'm across. I says, "I'm gonna sit over here, little restaurant outdoors, little cafe outdoors."
Yeah.
I had a glass of wine, a little bottle of water, and I'm sitting there. I'm waiting for her to go up and up the stairs. So she got to the upstairs and was on the very roof, and she waved to me up there, and I caught her. And she did tell me that things were kind of tight there. That they didn't have enough room. If you're claustrophobic, don't try to climb up the El Duomo. Uh, a good story there. Daniel, there's so much to talk about and so much to see, and you saw it. The Uffizi in Florence is just filled with everything. So much art. It's just, I mean, I could show this to you forever.
Yeah.
Show you art.
Well, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
It's a trip that if you go back again, you can certainly fly in. There's the El Duomo. If you go back again, you can certainly there's the El Duomo, and you can take a train from Rome to Florence and stay there for a couple of days.
Yeah, we went to on our trip, and because you told us about Florence, and I still have my notes on here with us, that everything that Mary gave us on like where to go and what to do, and you guys both talking about that when we sat down with you. We went to Rome. That's where we started, and then we went from Rome to Naples, and then from Naples we went to Tortora. We went to Maddaloni, where my family's from on my dad's side, and we went to the Isle of Capri. So we got to go to 5 different places while we were down there. I had the opportunity to broadcast live from Rome, and also broadcasted live from the Isle of Capri while sitting on the rocks in the water down at the island. And then I shot video after climbing the mountain in Maddaloni, and I shot video on the beaches of Tortora, which are in Calabria. So my experience of being there, it's hard to put into words. I've talked about it, with so many different people, and I always come back to certain things, PJ, and you talk about how the bathrooms, and I remember you saying that when we got into places, I was thinking in my head, okay, the bathrooms, they said, are typically not as easy to get to. They're usually upstairs. Well, we went to a lot of places, including some, pastry places where the bathrooms were downstairs in spiral staircases. And in a lot of the bakeries, you had to walk down a very tight staircase down to get to it. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, if you're over 200 pounds, I don't know how anybody gets down these stairs. And
Right.
so, having to do that, but we had upstairs, a lot of it was downstairs bathrooms, and, the cobblestone and walking on that and experiencing that. And the other thing is when we were walking down the street, and you and Mary experienced this, I'm sure, but when you're in Italy, these cars and these bikes are essentially going down roads that look like alleyways. They don't look like they're
Right.
actual roads. And so I told my dad, I said, the one thing that they got right in the movies in 007 and Mission Impossible and Bourne Identity and all those movies are that these tiny cars are going down these tiny streets, and a car will
Right.
go down a street and you got to get to the side and they'll almost hit you. If you get to the end of the road and you're sitting in a car, you could put your window down, reach over to somebody's table eating dinner, grab a slice of their pizza and put it in the car. I mean, that's how
Right.
close you are to everybody. And at one point, because we stayed by the Spanish Steps, when we were driving through toward the Spanish Steps, there was so many people outside that it looked like our driver had driven into a shopping mall. I mean, what can you say to that effect, PJ? The fact that the cars are going down these streets where there's no road signs, there's like pretty much nothing, and they'll be driving and they'll just spin down a road, and there's bikes on one side and people on the other side, and this tiny little cars trying to get through. Just what you could say about that experience of the cobblestone and the fact that everything is essentially a street, and these cars and bikes can go anywhere, and there's people walking all over the place. I mean, Italy is set up that the cars, the people, and everything is kind of all in one place.
Yeah, you got to be small to live in Italy. You're right. And those little cars, they don't park horizontally; they park vertically.
Yeah.
So whoever invented the small car in Italy is making a lot of money because that's all you did. Now, we had a treat every single day, twice a day, when we had to take a cab from the Villa Deuce down to Rome, and then back again. So we didn't drive or anything like that. And when we were walking in Rome, if you don't know where you're going, you're screwed. But MT, the way she is, she takes out her GPS. There are no road signs in Rome or in Florence, actually. You got to look at the sides of buildings. That's where you see the name of the road.
Yeah.
Either it's going horizontally or vertically. And that's how she found her way around when we were walking, once you get inside of Rome. Florence is the same way. They just don't say what road is where. I mean, you're right about the little, do you see the water fountains everywhere?
Yeah.
The water fountains, free water. I mean, imagine what they built the aqueduct years before, and I could visualize some of the aqueduct water coming down into Rome. Some of the aqueduct is still there too. There's so much to see and so much to talk about. Luckily we were staying with some just beautiful people. Mary had looked these people up on the internet, and Mary said, "This is a place for us. It's a little small bed and breakfast, sort of like over there, maybe 10 rooms, expensive, but well worth it." We had a breakfast every morning with them, and then we jump in a car and drive down to Rome. Every night, every day, of course, food. We had our breakfast. We had a very, very little lunch, and then sat down for supper. And wherever we were, we would look, check things out, check menus, and say, "This looks okay," and we did. When we stayed in Florence, we stayed right down in Florence, but we didn't have to take a cab anywhere.
Yeah.
The only did we took a cab. We went across the river to the I forgot the name of the hotel, but it was another famous place. So I walked a lot in Florence, and I was ambulated enough to do that. There's so much to see and so much to talk about that if a person isn't, that's why I got the albums here. Mary put these together from Shutterfly, and we took dozens of pictures, and I'm sure you did too, especially down where you were with the family down there. Now, our family is from Cosenza, which is down near Naples also. I haven't had a chance to go there yet. I didn't really want to yet, but later on in my life here, I'll be 79 next month. So there's probably a chance that my last trip will be over there and into Rome and stay with our friends there, and then take a train down there and see if I can hook up some of my family, which is named Lento, L-E-N-T-O, not Lando. That's the way they pronounce it when they came over on the boats. Those trips are, I'll never forget them. That's for sure. Neither will you. Did you fly Delta?
We did. Yeah.
Yes. Delta is first class, folks. I've been in several places all around the world, and so is Mary. There's no other place there's no other plane that you can fly but Delta. We took American Airlines the first time, didn't we, Mary? Yeah, we took American Airlines the first time. The big plane, nice plane. On the way over, it was good. On the way back, it was a friggin' nightmare. The plane was late. We had to stay with our friends another night, and then go back down the next day and get out of plane. We couldn't go we couldn't fly into where we needed to go. We had to fly into New York City. We were a day behind, and then from New York City we flew to Atlanta down to Daytona. No, it wasn't. No, we had to go to Jacksonville and then come home because Delta was the only one at. But American Airlines, I wouldn't trust them at all. So what happens is there's these guys. They hawk these airlines and they say, airlines have been screwing people for years. They just watch out for the consumer.
Yeah.
So we get a letter in the mail saying that we understand you had a problem with our American Airlines, and we'd like to rectify that for us. So they did. They checked into the case. We told them what happened. They sent us a full refund for the flights over and back.
Oh wow!
On America's $1,300 something. It was, we're shocked.
Yeah.
And that's said anyway. We learned our lesson not to take American, and the second time we went, which is Delta, and I should know better. Delta is the best there is, and they've always taken care of me, no matter where I've gone, to Milwaukee or New York, wherever. As being disabled with Delta is okay. You're doing fine.
Yeah.
I got a lot to talk about, Daniel, but it's not. There's so much to see and look at. And while we're doing this show, I'm looking at the interregnum here with the Pope. They voted yesterday and got a black smoke, and they're going to be voting here pretty soon. We'll see if they're black smoke or white smoke. So, we're in tune with Italy and the Vatican and our leaders over there.
Yeah. I actually watched the Conclave movie on the way down. So
don't get me started on that.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on that.
Yeah.
I loved the movie until the very friggin' end.
Oh yeah.
And I'm saying, Mary, did they just do this? Did they just say this? She says, yes. This is transgender. Being Catholic, Daniel, that doesn't work. That doesn't work with Catholics. So we're watching this beautiful movie, well acted, of what's happening right now in there.
Yeah.
And the ending. Did you like the ending? I mean, were you aware of it?
I wasn't aware of what was going to happen, and I mean the whole movie. You're like, where's the twist? Who's involved? Who's doing this? Where's the dirty in this thing? Because there's dirty. You can feel it. So you're like, who's going to do it? Who's going to do something shady? And then you get to the end of the movie. And I said to my dad, I was like, just so you know, if you watch it, they took religion, and I mean, it's Hollywood. Hollywood wants to take shots at Catholicism, and they took another shot. And, that's all I mean, if this movie was actually made by Catholics, and if the movie was, and that's the thing that I will say about life right now is that Catholicism is being attacked like it's something bad. It is literally a religion that was created of the belief in Jesus Christ, the Holy Trinity of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Catholicism is not the things that happen with the priests. Catholicism, and that unfortunate thing that happened that could have happened in any church, that's a horrible thing. But it's like, when I tell somebody I'm Catholic, I feel like I have to apologize because they're like, oh, you're Catholic, so you're strict. Oh, you're Catholic, so you hate everybody. Oh, you're Catholic, so you're sexist, you're racist, you're prejudiced. I'm like, that has nothing to do with Catholicism. I have never been racist. I've never been sexist. I've never been prejudiced. My God approves and accepts all people. And there's elements to life now in America where they're trying to shake the fabric of what faith is and what God is, because if you can control people, you can control them easy when they don't know their identity. And America's having an identity crisis, and then they put stuff like that in the Conclave movie, and they twisted it in a way that they didn't need. And I just remember looking at my dad going, if you watch this movie, I know you're going to get upset. Because you think like, okay, is it going to be this guy or this guy? And then at the end of the movie, you're thinking, is it going to be, and it's weird because like they show how the conclave, how selecting a pope has now become political, and there's liberal popes and there's conservative popes, and that the church has literally become like Democrats versus Republicans, and it should never be that way. The church should be away from all of that. The church should be on an island away from politics. And so, like, that part of the movie kind of hits you. And then there's another twist. And then you think it's a good twist. And then you find out this other stuff. And then the movie just, like, ends with this church having an identity crisis and taking all the stuff that's happening in America and pushing it into the church. So I just, yeah. I mean, all I could say to you, PJ, is Hollywood made the movie, so why are you surprised?
It was awful. I was so shocked when that ending. I said, Mary, is this right? Is this what I just saw? He said, yes, it's right.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're voting on a new pope, and I think it's probably the most important decision in the world right now is the pope for the Catholic religion. And I'm sure that the Protestants feel that way also. It is just the most important one. And now that you were there and you saw where they were walking down in the Sistine Chapel, and you visualize the rows of chairs and the seats,
Yeah.
and look at the gold rings of the cardinals that they have on their finger, worth several $1,000s. Yeah, the Conclave movie was good until the very end, and
Yeah.
we're not going to have that in this particular case. Now, we're going to be having a new pope here probably by the end of Sunday, I think, probably.
Yeah, it's going to definitely be interesting. But yeah, to go down at a time where you see all these things and, you know, to see the movie and the movie's trying to, like, give you an inside look, and then you physically go inside. And, you know, I said to my dad, I was like, God has always put me in places where, like, very unique things are happening. And it happened when I was down in Florida. It happened when I moved back to New York. There's just things that I was around, things that happened, like Jim Boeheim saying he was going to retire and then not retiring. And then when he did retire, and everything that happened with Bernie Fine here, and the horrible way that the media handled that, really was not prepared for it, and essentially did a lot of work to ruin a man's life without having any concrete evidence. And then from what we saw, I don't know what was behind closed doors, but from what we saw, and then being down in Florida and covering the Florida Tuskers, and because I covered the Tuskers, I met Doug Flutie, I met Joe Theismann, I met John Gruden, I met Jay Gruden, and so I met one of my best friends in Jason. So God has been putting me in places where big things happen. I was at the College Football Playoff National Championship, and I met the new Captain America, Anthony Mackie. So, and if they had done my badge right, then I wouldn't have had to wait 25 minutes, and I would have never met Anthony Mackie. So when they say that God delays you for a reason and that his timing is perfect, when you're complaining that you don't have what you want when you want it, I can honestly tell you that a few months ago, because my past was screwed up, because they made a mistake, and because they had to fix it, that allowed me to meet Captain America. So God is holding you sometimes in a certain area because he doesn't want you to walk forward until you can cross paths with that right person at the right time. And the conclave thing, I mean, is the same thing. It was going down. We planned this Italy trip. We planned when we're going. And then, you know, we had to adjust it because of my mom's eye surgery. And so we adjust the trip a little bit. And then the Pope passes away. Then we get into the Vatican. And then they told us at the hotel, if you didn't go to the Vatican within these last couple of days, like within this weekend, you would have been locked out because they're locking it up for the conclave and their, you know, vow of silence and all that stuff. So, like, this whole trip, we could have missed the Vatican if we didn't plan it the way we planned it. And then the Pope passing away was a different experience because we went down there and we saw the Pope in the windows. There was a lot of art and there was like different things that people were selling that were in honor of him. And the way that everything was, we couldn't go into St. Peter's Basilica because he was being laid to rest there. Or he was laid in state there. So, I mean, this trip to Italy that we've never taken before was different in and of itself because of the Pope passing away and because of the now choosing of a new Pope. So, you know, God bless to everybody that's making the choice. May somebody be chosen that serves God and not man. And that's really the biggest thing that I can say. And, you know, yeah, I mean, it was a great experience to go and do that. PJ and I have a lot to talk about. We have a lot to unpack and a lot to discuss about this. We're going to talk about the Galleria Borghese and how there was a Pope Borghese who decided he became Pope, and then while he was Pope, decided to make his family rich and bought up all this land, and then his family made essentially like a monument to themselves, made this Galleria for themselves. They stole some of the art, then they paid for other pieces of art and put together this absolutely magnificent mansion and the grounds. But it all came from a pope who said, I'm going to use my power to make a lot of money and to take care of my family. And then what we saw inside the Galleria Borghese will definitely stay with me forever. My dad said it looked even more beautiful than the Sistine Chapel. We'll talk about the Borghese in just a little bit after this fast break with Papa Joe. He's back again. PJ's back. Tell a friend. We'll be back right after this. Here's a message from Renee from Brian's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McInerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Brian and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Brian and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Brian's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Brian's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Here is a special message from Brian Bruno, owner of Servomation Refreshments Incorporated.
I grew up in the family business, had the experience of working for a national food service company with thousands of employees, and as much as I enjoyed the experience I had, there's something about, owning my own company and being able to change the things I saw wrong with the industry firsthand, which is why I moved back to my hometown in Canastota, New York to launch Servomation. It was back in 2007. When we first started the business in 2007, really you didn't find any machines with credit card readers. There's a lack of variety in machines. You got stuck with basically whatever the vending company wanted to sell that day. There's a lot of inefficiencies in the business, and those were all things that we saw as opportunities, both from a customer level to improve and from an operating level to be more efficient. We've really been at the forefront of introducing retail technology into our space. We were doing self-checkout back in 2009 before it really became a national phenomenon. The whole point of it isn't to just improve the customer experience. It's to make it feel more like a retail environment where people don't have to be afraid of what they're buying behind glass. They don't have to be afraid of not being able to see the ingredients of the packages. It was an easy transaction from that standpoint. If we were to reinvent something, we wanted to make sure what we were making looked and felt more like a deli and not like something that you would traditionally see in a vending machine. I was tired of hearing for years the customers say the wheel of death because the vending machine would circle around with the same tuna salad in it. What we wanted to do was it really change the perception of that food. So allowing customers to touch it, allowing customers to feel the weight of it, allowing customers to see the freshness of it, and also the variety of it really helps them change the perception and ultimately the value of what we bring to them. The point of differentiation you have to make is either in value or the quality. And I think on both of those fronts, Servomation has really, in large part, changed that value system for employees. So they no longer have to worry about bringing their food from home or having to leave their desk during the day and rush out to get back in time for their break to end. We're bringing something that they can count on in their break room every day, and they know it's going to be there, they know it's going to be fresh, and they don't have to worry about it being sold out or something that they don't enjoy. We've also heavily invested in flavored water machines, so you can get a glass of water with a fresh piece of fruit in it, along with bean-to-cup coffee machines. So there's not a day that goes by we're not surprised when we get customers that call us and say, we didn't know you could do all this. We're really lucky to have a strong group of dedicated employees. Most of our employees have been with us since inception. They're family to us, and people like doing business with people they like and trust. And I think the same thing goes for employees. In a day and an age where there's a lot of corporations that just look at an employee as a number and don't get to know them, that's just not the way I was raised or how I like to do business. So we're a little old-fashioned. We like getting close to our employees. We like knowing how we can help them. We like knowing how we can improve their lives, adjust their schedules, whatever it may be to help improve their quality of life. And we think in the end that makes for a happier employee. We're fortunate enough to have really grown over the last several years, and from Pennsylvania to Massachusetts to Connecticut, we really do have a strong connection, even though we're not in the rooms every day with these employees. There's not one single employee that we feel like we don't know, and certainly we know they can call us at any time, and they're definitely treated as family to us. I wake up every single day really excited to surprise our customers in a good way. The one thing I can tell you is I think that every one of our employees and every one of our customers will continue to be at the forefront of every decision we make.
Find out how Servomation can help you and your business by going to servomation.com.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily, and we bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life. That's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here with us every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And during Italy Week, I'm here with Papa Joe as we are trading our Italy stories. And I said we would talk about the Galleria Borghese. PJ, what stood out to you and MT from that specific Galleria? It's one of the places that you guys had said that we should go to. And arguably, it was the best art that we had seen. The attention to detail. I mean, there's one of a woman laying on a bed, and they have like the ruffles in the sheets perfectly done, and how she's sitting, and they have like, you know, you look at her body, and like there's different curves to certain things, and if there's an indent and whatnot. I mean, you think about, what does a person look like when they're laying on a bed sideways looking at you? And then they made these incredible pictures, and PJ's showing some of the art right now from this. And then you actually replied to the picture of the Last Supper that I put on there, and you said that was MT's favorite. So I'd love to get your thoughts about the Galleria Borghese.
Well, as you can see, I'm doing the best I can to get this up here so
yeah, we
people can see it a little bit.
I know that picture. Yeah. So the picture of the woman that's trying to flee this the Apollo who's attacking her, and she's turning into a tree. When you first walk into the picture, you're just seeing a man and a woman. And then when the tour guide's telling you, you're looking at it again, and you're like, oh my gosh, she is turning into a tree. It's incredible.
That's right. You're right. Exceptional artwork. And of course, the people these days that are painting art and doing sculpture can't compare to what we saw, what you saw. Very easily, hands down, it was the best exhibit that we saw in Rome, period. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Sistine Chapel, of course, the St. Peter's and everything, the Colosseum, that was the best exhibit of art I've ever seen, was at Borghese, and I'm glad you got a chance to see that. There's so many artists are in there.
Yeah.
And and you're talking about the lady. Let's see if I can get her. There she is. Oops. MT, help me out here. I couldn't get the lady. Anyway, it's if whoever's planning on going over, that's the first place you got to visit. That's for sure.
Yeah. No, the Galleria Borghese is absolutely exquisite and just beautiful, and the grounds. And it was funny, PJ, somebody asked me the first thing that I remember seeing. Brendan asked me at the beginning of the week, and I said it was the trees. And there was a bunch of these trees that, you know, they almost, it's like just a few branches going up in a flat top, and they would put them in a row where it almost looked like you could like jump from one to the other. And so there's a bunch of trees in the Galleria Borghese when you come out, and you're just enjoying that. But the artwork was absolutely incredible. I found a castle that I brought my dad to. It was one that was not on our plan, but the Castle Sant'Angelo. And I brought him there, the Castle of the Holy Angel, which was, and at the top of the castle, you see St. Michael the Archangel, and he has a dagger, and he's drawing it down. And they said that the story was that he ended a plague, that they were praying for an end to a plague in Rome, and that he helped to end this plague. And the Castle Sant'Angelo, I think they said popes had been in it before. It was used as a prison. It's now obviously part of Italy, part of Rome. But was there something you did off the beaten path, like a Castle Sant'Angelo, that was not like your typical Sistine Chapel, Vatican, the Galleria Borghese? Was there something that you and Mary did that you just, while you were there, were like, oh, that looks cool, let's go up to it?
We did. There were a lot of places. I can't even remember the names of them. But as you're walking along, and you walk along an avenue to going to one of these exhibits, there's always some place that you can duck into. A church, especially. Yeah. We were in Florence, Mary, to see the church. What went to mass? Florence, yeah. Just when we're in Florence, we're just walking, looking for exhibits, going from one place to other. All of a sudden, we see this church. Doors are open. People are going in there. So we're saying, what's up? it was a 4 o'clock in the afternoon mass, and we sat through an afternoon mass in Italian. So it was there's the little nooks and crannies are the ones you got to find, and those are the ones that'll stay with you forever. And of course, it's a place to eat. We did make a mistake. I think we were in Rome the first time. We did make a mistake about eating.
Yeah.
We're walking and walking and walking, and we wanted to eat something. It was a little after 1 or something like that. And we stopped at this little place, nice little place, cute little place, outdoors, indoors. So we sat down there waiting for someone to come up, and a gentleman comes out and he says, "Well, we're not open until 4 o'clock." And I says, "Oh, well, we can't get anything to eat."
Yeah.
He says, "No, you're tourists, aren't you?" And he says, "Yeah." He says, "Every place in Rome shuts down at 1 o'clock and reopens at 4 o'clock. You can't get any food or beverage, anything like that." He says, "But I'll tell you what, you sit down over here in this table." He brings me up a huge carafe of water, cold as can be, 2 glasses. So we sat there and figured out what we're going to do for the rest of the day, knowing that from 1 to 4, the place rolls up, goes to sleep, takes naps, gets up, ready to go again. So remember that, folks.
Well,
1 to 4, you can't do it.
We were experiencing some stuff. So when we went to Maddaloni, where my dad's family's from, right outside of Naples, we got dropped off, and it was around, I want to say it was almost 1 o'clock, and it was a ghost town. We were walking up and down these streets. There was like nobody around. There was a few cars, and there's no restaurants open. There's no places open. We kept walking, got to this gelato place, Talismano, and went into this place. They have 2 locations in Maddaloni. We went to the second one, and the guy had was just opening the doors. I said, "Dad, you want to go inside?" He's like, "Yeah, we got some water." And then we got some gelato. And that was the place where I posted on social media. I spoke 4 languages to that guy. So I'm in my hometown of Maddaloni, and I spoke English, Spanish, Italian, and Portuguese because he's from Brazil. And I learned Portuguese, some Portuguese, not much, but some, when I was working at Walt Disney World, because I worked at Epcot and I worked with a lot of Brazilians. So thank you to Priscilla more than anybody for teaching me Portuguese. And so we spoke in a bunch of different languages. He gave us some advice, and he told us where to go. And when then we got to the center of town, when we got to the center, then we started to walk, and that's essentially, we saw this castle. So as my dad and I are walking, again, with God being who he is, we're walking down these random streets, and there's a Disney Marvel place at Maddaloni. There's just a Disney Marvel store. So, of course, I took a picture in front of it. And who is the character that's next to Marvel? Pluto. So I love Marvel, and Pluto's my favorite Disney character, and he just so happened to be on that side. So we took a picture of that, and then right across the street from that, there was just a mural. There was a place to pray to Jesus and Mary that was literally just there, like amongst the road. It was just sitting there. So we went over across the street, and we prayed, and then we went up the road, and we're going toward this castle. We meet this guy on a road who's speaking Italian. My dad asks him some questions, and I'm trying to pay attention to what he's saying. And so we end up finding this castle route, and we go up this cobblestone, and then we, keep going up higher. I asked my dad if he's okay because he has a leg injury, and so we're trying to figure it out. And then you go around this guy's house, then you go behind his house, and it's this public thing. And then you go through, and then you see a cross, and it has a station thing. It has a square on it that shows Jesus. And I looked at it and I go, "Dad, I think this is the Stations of the Cross." And then my dad said, "Well, this is as far as I'm going to go." And that's when I ended up walking up this entire mountain, PJ, to the Stations of the Cross. So never climbed a mountain in my life. Climbed this mountain in Maddaloni, in my family's birthplace, and did it to the Stations of the Cross, climbing the mountain, reenacting Jesus's path to the cross while I'm climbing up this mountain. Get to the top of the mountain, and there is this beautiful church, inside church. There's an outdoor church, and there's a view panoramic all the way around. And I go and I take a picture and video of Maddaloni So in my family's birthplace, I climbed my first mountain while I was walking the path of Jesus Christ. And while I was walking the path of Jesus Christ, butterflies would come onto the route that I was walking, and they would guide me up the mountain, and then they would go away, and another one would come in later on and keep guiding me up the mountain. And when I would look and say, is this the right path? A butterfly would eventually show up and guide me up the mountain, and then they helped to guide me down the mountain. So I'd love to get your thoughts on that, PJ. I climbed a mountain in my family's birthplace with Jesus by my side, got to the top of the mountain, got to see all of Mataloni, and while I was climbing the mountain, there were butterflies guiding me up the mountain.
Well, that's surreal right there. And you did send us the pictures of that.
Yeah.
And you did a good job taking the pictures. That must have been overwhelming for you. I can't imagine doing that. I remember when we were in Milwaukee several years ago visiting the family, and when I was mobile, I remember going to a little town called Holy Hill, and we walked the stations across there. And it wasn't easy to do because it's undulating hills and things like that. That's about the closest I ever got to a mountain.
Yeah.
Of course, now I can't even do that. So anyway, that's good. That's a good experience for you, and it's something you'll always remember.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a life-changing moment, and I left a lot on that mountain. And I took God with me in the journey ahead and what we have to do, and really feel him and feel his presence even more so. He came to me in a lot of ways, PJ. You know, I've talked to you and Mary about how God comes to me through numbers, and my grandfather's number 13, my number 21, and them together, 13, 21, 21, 13, or as they commonly show up as a bond, 213. I saw a lot of my numbers in Italy. My number 21 was all over the place. I'd be eating at a restaurant, look up, 21's across the street. We took a train from Rome to Naples. It was on track 21. We took one from Naples back to Rome days later, track 21. We took a boat to Capri from Naples. The boat docked at dock 21. And so there was all these moments where things happened, like I said, being at the Sistine Chapel and not knowing where I was, and then looking up and St. Daniel being the saint that's directly above me. Did you and Mary have any surreal moments when you were there where you feel like God spoke to you? You felt like he was personally saying, hey, Joe, I'm here. I hear you.
Well, I have, because there were some areas where I really couldn't ambulate very well to get to a spot. And I tell Mary, I said, Mary, I got to do this. She says, well, you stay here. I'll go. I said, I can't. I got to do it. So there's moments like that where he lifted me up, almost allowed me to climb the stairs to get to where I wanted to go. And I hadn't done that before. I hadn't felt that before. When you're disabled, you're always looking for an angle. This angle was spiritual, and it helped me get. I did a pretty good job when I was there the first time, and the second time, I got to say. So, but now if we go back again, which we plan on, I just don't know how mobile I'm going to be for a third trip. We were talking about this morning about if I take my motorized buggy, and we're saying I don't know how Delta's going to get a motorized buggy on the plane, and furthermore, if we stay at the Villa Deuce, which we would be, and we have to take a cab, how are they going to get a motorized buggy in a cab? So, we sort of fluff that off. I won't be able to do it. So all the strength I'm going to try to get is going to be for the next trip, for whichever year that's going to be. I'm getting a little long in the tooth. I'll be 79, so and disabled. So I don't know if there's any trips left in me, except go to Milwaukee and Syracuse.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the hope for me is that we get you there, and I think, in my opinion, and I think Joey would equal me on this. If you and Mary want to go to Italy, then Joe will get on one side, I'll get on the other side, and we'll lift up a chair and we'll carry you if we have to.
That's true.
So
that's true.
But I want to talk about the food, because you and Mary showed me pictures, And I remember when you guys went, I saw a picture, and I think it was MT sitting in front of a piece of pizza that looked like it was bigger than her face, like her whole Mary's torso, like this giant slice of pizza. And so the pizza margarita. And so there's so many good pizzas there, but the birthplace of pizza, Napoli, which is Naples, but called Napoli over in Italy. I want to get your thoughts on the food, your favorite food that you had, if there was any food you didn't like, because you and Mary kept telling me, once you eat in Italy, you're never going to want to eat in America again. And I will tell you this, now that I've eaten in Italy, my stomach doesn't want to digest American food. So I'd love to get your thoughts about eating in Italy.
Well, it was your stomach talks, that's for sure. And our brains and body listen. There was one time where we did not have a good meal, and that was a different situation where we had to buy into a certain area, pay a certain price, and have four different items on the meal. And it was a beautiful place, except the food that came out it wasn't very good for us, and Mary didn't like it, and I didn't like it at all. So other than that, every place we went to was wonderful. I mean, I tell you, one guy chewed me out though. I was ordering something. It's probably a pasta, of course, and I'm saying, "Hey, Chief," I says, "Can I have some cheese?" He looks at me and he says, "Cheese?
Yeah.
What do you mean cheese? You're in Italy. We don't use cheese. You're American. Americans use cheese. We don't use cheese." There was where we were staying at the Villa Deuce, down the block and around the corner was a little deli, and it was an up and down deli, and they made pizza all day long. They made pizza, and people walking by, people grab a slice, keep walking all the way around. And that place, we ate there a lot because it was close. Most of the meals we've got, especially in Florence, we like this one place we went to twice, which is unusual for us. There's a lot of places to look to. You look, most of the menus are in English. Of course, they're Italian, of course, but underneath they're a little blob of English, and you can figure out what you want. And we were at one restaurant, and this young man came up and said, he looked at us, and I says, "Can we order?" And he says, "You're American." So he starts talking English to me. And I says, "Boy, you got a melting pot around here, don't you?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "I speak 5 languages." He says, I got to be able to know what people are saying. Yeah. Then that's it. I mean, but don't go to Italy and expect cheese on your meal.
Well, and I did, like, I would ask, and I didn't ask for Parmesan, but I would just say, I was like, "Do you have a little bit of cheese?" And they would, in Rome, they would have like these, and I wanted to take it because it was so cool looking. And they'd had like the similar one at different restaurants where they would take a little thing and you could open it up and you could put your cheese on it and whatnot. But I will say the margarita pizza in Naples, where we stayed, came out of our hotel, walked to the left, and it's a few minutes walk. And we went to a place called Social Pizza. PJ, the margarita pizza was so good. It's the best pizza I've ever had in my life. Not the best pizza margarita. Best pizza I've ever had in my life. It was so good, I got it 3 days in a row.
Good. That's good. That's good. That's wonderful.
And I will tell you, in Capri, I don't know what you're going to think about this or what MT is going to think about this, but because I know that, we're Italian, so we like calamari and we like shrimp and all this stuff. I had octopus pizza in Capri.
Oh, that's all right. I'd go for that. Mary, calamari. That's Mary doesn't much like that too much, but I do, especially if it's fried. But put a little red sauce in it, and we're ready to go. But there's not a lot of places down here that are authentic. We do have a place right around the corner from us. It's a mile away. It's called Augusto's, and he's an old-time Italian from Rome, and he opened up a place here, and he's been opening up places for. And it's authentic foods. Now, I'll bring you there next time you come down. Well, you are coming down, so that's where we'll go. Gusto's, right, Mayor? Gusto's, right? Right.
Yeah, and you got a nice authentic place down there called Zaxby's as well. But I will say that so Mary was 1,000% right about the food, and she you never want to eat here again. So now I have to figure this out, and I want to ask you guys if you've done this. So before I go to Italy, I ended up having this stomach issue, and I told you guys about it. I had to get a CT scan, I had to get an ultrasound, I had to do all this stuff, and I had to take blood, and they were trying to figure out what was wrong. My stomach was hurting. It started hurting when I was down in Florida before I went to Italy. And so it was hurting when I was down in Florida, and then it followed me. And I get to Italy, and my stomach was still hurting a little bit the first couple of days, but then it got better, and then it got better, and then I didn't feel it anymore. I was eating whatever I wanted. I was walking everywhere, but I started to feel healthy. I come back to the States. I eat in the Atlanta airport, and I got shrimp tacos, nothing crazy. And my stomach started to churn again. So I want to ask you guys, have you figured out, since my doctors told me to eat a Mediterranean diet well before I even went to the Mediterranean, which is where Italy is, have you done more at home to try and like recreate the Mediterranean stuff? Do you and MT, I know you do Sunday sauce, but do you and MT try to like eat in a healthier fashion or adjust anything because the food in Italy has less preservatives, has less garbage in it? Have you guys like done anything to that effect?
We're pretty basic. Now we didn't change much, but we do know how to make several dishes. But there's only two of us, and we don't eat a lot. Like if I wanted to make a veal francais or something like that, veal is difficult to buy down here. It's good, and it costs $1 million. We had lamb chops the other night, Daniel. The last time I had lamb chops. But no, we're careful with how we season our foods. And when you come down, you always get, we always get a nice sauce, which is made with, of course, oregano and basil and whatever else we can put in there, garlic. Butcher box, right? We haven't varied our menu at all. There are some, with the linguine and clam sauce, we do vary that a little bit. We throw some mussels in there and the real clams themselves and shells. That's a hell of a meal. Now, what I did eat over there a lot was what's called, Mary, what's it called? The tomato dish, an appetizer. And enchilada Capri, right?
Yeah.
Which is just a beautiful little octangle plate with 4 big pieces of cheese on there.
Yeah.
And then 4 big slices of tomatoes on there with a lot of seasoning. You put your own dressing on it. And every meal we had that. We had maybe a salad every once in a while, but most of the time we had enchilada Capri, which is done perfectly over there and original.
Yeah, and that one that you bring up, that's, we just call it, here we'll just say tomato and mozzarella, but, we'll make it, you slice up the tomato, you put a blob of mozzarella on there, and you put a little basil around the dish, and then you put some of that Uncle Bill's on there, you put some of that balsamic on there, and make it taste really special. But that's one that's it's simple, and then it's funny because they have buffalo mozzarella, and so I think Americans will think, oh, is that cheese with like buffalo sauce on it? And it's like, no, buffalo mozzarella just means like it's bigger. So there's mozzarella, and it's like you get a little plop of it, and then you get the buffalo mozzarella. It's huge, but I mean it's so good, and it's and like you said, enchilada Capri, and so Capri getting some love.
That's
for
what
that.
it is.
The caprese salad, essentially, right? And so going to the Isle of Capri and getting to experience that. But yeah, I would say the octopus pizza, when they had the arms of the octopus and they cut them and then they put them on there. People don't know how good octopus is. It's like meaty. It's got a good texture to it. And this didn't have any red sauce on the pizza, so it was just cheese and some seasoning, and it was absolutely incredible. So for you, PJ, is there a dish that you can close your eyes and go back to? Like something that you can, because there's 2 that I have where I could just close my eyes and taste it. Is there something in Italy that you could just close your eyes and go back to that dish?
Oh, Daniel, that's too far for me to remember. But there was one dish that I actually ordered a couple times at the same restaurant we went to, and it was ziti. No, a rigatoni with a bolognese sauce.
Okay.
And it was done much better than I could do it. I don't know how they do it, but it's just hamburger and sauce and ziti, if people know what that is. That one was really good. Most of the time when you have food like that, sometimes you wind up having a little bit of a bellyache or something like that.
Yeah.
But no, the food was rich, but it didn't upset us that much. The only time Mary got upset was when we were coming back on a trip from hell from American Airlines, and she got sick on the plane by eating some of the plane food. But no, if you go over there with open eyes, you'll understand what they do over there and how they cook it and how they present it. The ensalada capri is perfect. It's the best appetizer there is.
Well, and that's the thing is, like you said, MT having Americanized food on the way home, and she doesn't feel good. I had Americanized food, same thing. Your body gets used to, because that's the thing is, like you said, you're eating rich food in Italy, but it's not having the same effect. They tell me in this new diet, stay away from tomatoes, and I'm having pizza margherita 3 days in a row, and my body's feeling better and better and better and better because the ingredients that they have, what they bring in and what they put on it, right? And how fresh their ingredients are and how they use it, how they, even what they do with the dough. So, I got to give it up to Italy that, I was not surprised when you said I'm not going to want to eat food back at home anymore. I didn't think that was going to be untrue. And it was definitely very true. So I keep telling people I got to cook more for sure.
Right.
But I do want to ask this of you, PJ, before we step into baseball. So in this time in Italy, you got to see me. You watched the videos. You saw the pictures. I saw you on my social media commenting and liking stuff and whatnot. What did you see from my trip that stood out to you? Because I've talked about my trip. You've talked about yours. I talked with you and Mary about your trips many times because I've always wanted to go and now I have gone. What did you see from my travels that stuck out?
Well, it's the coast down there, the Napoli, down where you were there. I love the pictures you just sent there. One of our return trips, hopefully, God will help me with that, is the Amalfi Coast. That's something that I'll never probably see it, but there's a chance I could. That's not a place for cripples either down there. But I thought that your pictures and movies from the Napoli and the area, especially when you were out there on the beach, you're into the ocean out there and looking at that. That was a good picture. That's what I remember.
Yeah, and the fact that there's a place in Italy called Tortora just means the absolute world to me. And it's funny because we would say Tortora, we would say we're going to a place of our name, and you'd say Tortora to an Italian, and they would be like, what? And then you say Tortora, and they'd be like, oh, Tortora. So, because that's how you're supposed to say it when you're, in speaking Italian. And so to be able to go there was good. By the way, best seafood that I've gotten arguably my whole life was in Tortora, where we got clams in this, we got clams and pasta. And then we also had the best calamari I've ever had in my life, hands down. It didn't even look like it was seasoned, but it was. And it just came out and it was absolutely incredible. They put shrimp on top of their calamari. So if you did that in America, that would be extra. But here you order calamari, they put shrimp on it in Italy. So with that being said, PJ and I sharing our Italy trips, I'm sure when we see each other in person, we'll have plenty more to discuss and plenty more things to talk about at the Lando Lagoon and at that table where so many awesome conversations always happen with MT, PJ, Joey, and the fam. We'll take a step aside here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. When we come back around, we've told you all about Italy, but now we're going to talk about America's game. Baseball comes up next on Wake Up Call. PJ's waited impatiently for 2 weeks to talk baseball. We'll see what he thinks about the fact that the Oakland Athletics and the Yankees have almost the exact same record. We'll talk about that right after this on Wake Up Call. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
All right, you need to come out here and get yourself the Brooklyn Pickle. I was talking about this with one of my buddies. I was like, yo, there's no better sandwich in the state of New York than the Brooklyn Pickle. And now that I found out that they're going down to North Carolina, we are taking over your taste buds everywhere you are, wherever you're going to be. You need to get yourself out to the Brooklyn Pickle. Pinehurst, you just realized that you found yourself the best sandwich shop that you're ever going to have. This is a glorious moment. It's a blessing to your community. You're welcome. Brooklyn in the house, baby. Go over to the Brooklyn Pickle. You already know what it is.
You heard the man. Head to Brooklyn Pickle Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
You make chicken and rice.
We have fajitas.
if you want it, yeah.
Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes. And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios. We're hanging out with you and Papa Joe during Italy Week. And Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Head out to Great Lakes Honda City today and get your next ride. New and used vehicles are available, and their inventory is on GreatLakesHondaCity.com, or you can just take a ride by 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard today and Monday through Saturday. So make sure you do that and find the next ride for you, for your family, and feel safe. You know, that's a good thing about the products that they have over at Honda is not only have I felt safe in my vehicles and gotten good gas mileage, but my 1999 Honda CR-V arguably saved my life when I was hit by a drunk driver. So I do appreciate the Honda product very much and for keeping me alive and keeping me from being paralyzed that day. So thank you to Honda for so much more than simply vehicles that look cool. We appreciate it. With that being said, PJ and I talking about baseball here this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And so we jump into that here in Italy Week. We've shared our Italy stories. Now it's time to talk about some baseball. We got some good Italians that are out there playing some baseball and people from all over the world that are playing in this wonderful Major League Baseball circuit. And of course, there's 30 franchises. PJ, as always, will bring us through the goings-on of baseball. I will preface with PJ by letting people know right now that leading the American League East, the Yankees, leading the Central, the Tigers, leading the West, the Mariners, in the National League, leading the East, the Mets, the Central, the Cubs, and the West, the Dodgers, where we're at so far. And we're about 2025 season. So PJ, take it away.
Okay, Daniel, thank you. Yeah, it is baseball is different than Italy, that's for certain. Well, I'll run through the standings like I usually do and see where the teams are positioned and go some individual stats after that. American League East got the Yankees at 21-16. Boston's 2.5 behind. Toronto's 4.5 behind, as is Tampa Bay. And Baltimore is 7 back. I'm going to tell you something now, like I did last year with Houston. I'm going to say that Baltimore is going to win this division.
Okay.
They got too many good young players. I know they got some guys hurt. Everyone's hurt throughout the league, including Mike Trout again. They're just too good of a team. Not playing very well. You got to hit, and you got to pitch, and you got to play defense. So I look for them to make a move. It's only a quarter of the way into the season, so we'll see what happens. The American League Central, you got Detroit leading at 23-13. Cleveland 22-15, only $1.50 back. Kansas City's 2 back. Minnesota's 6.5. And the infamous Chicago White Sox are 13.5 back already.
Yeah.
In the West, you got Seattle at 22-14. The Athletics at 20-13, playing really good ball. The 3 back. Houston is 4 back. Texas is 4.5 back. And my Angels are pitiful. They're 15-20. I can't tell you how many. I've been so disappointed with them again, with Trout being hurt again. Trout hurt his leg doing something. He was trying to leg out to first base, and he popped something. I don't know what it is, and it just deflated me. I couldn't talk for a couple of days. I'm married too. Watching every single game I almost had on the TV watching him, and I didn't watch the one that he got hurt. So I'm upset about that. Let's go to the National League. We got the Mets at 24-14, leading the Phillies by 2 games, Atlanta by 6 games, Washington 7, Miami's in the bottom 9 games back. The Mets look tough this year. And they're doing that without Soto hitting. Soto did hit a couple home runs the other night, but he's not hitting for average. He's not hitting for homers yet. I don't know what the deal is, but switching leagues maybe had something to do with it. In the Central, you got the Cubs at 22-16. St. Louis, Milwaukee, and Cincinnati are all 3 back, and Pittsburgh is 10 back. Forget about it. In the West, you got LA at 25-12. Padres are 1.5 back, as is San Francisco. Arizona is 5 back. They're playing better ball, though. And Colorado, Daniel, is 18 games back. They've only won 6 games and lost 29. You tell me what's wrong with that franchise. I don't get it. I do know that this is the toughest conference in baseball. And I watched the game last night with the Yankees and the Padres. Dylan Cease would pitch 6 innings, gave up 0 hits. He had a no-hitter going before Clay Bellinger went yard, tied the game at 1. Max Fried was on the other guy pitching. He's leading the league in ERA and wins. Great pitching matchup. Both of these guys had to leave early until the Yankees came back to win 4-3. Let's look at some averages in the American League. We all know that Aaron Judge is leading it with hitting 400. Now, folks, that's not attainable for the entire year. So don't get all huffy and everything. You think he's going to hit 400? Not going to hit 400. He'll be lucky to hit 300. He's a good hitter. He's better than 300, maybe 325, 330. But he is leading the league in homers with 12 and RBIs with 34. The second batter in that lineup is Paul Goldschmidt, who to me is going to be a Hall of Famer. He came over for a 1-year cup of coffee with the Yankees. He's hitting 340. So both of these guys, everyone else in the Yankees is hitting 220 or less. Some of them not even reaching the Mendoza line. They got to bring in some other people because what they're doing ain't working. A 1-loss record. I say Fried has got 6 wins. He's leading ERA with a 1.05 ERA. And last night he looked nasty. He had 8 strikeouts. His curveball looks like it drops off a table. Saves Andrew Munoz from Seattle's got 13. Go to the National League. The average Pete Alonso's hitting 328, leading the league. Fernando Tatis, who I saw with San Diego last night, hitting 319. Home runs, Kyle Schwarber from Philadelphia's hitting 12. And your man, Corbin Carroll, had 11 home runs. Now, that little guy doesn't look like he's got a big pop. But for a little guy, he's got a big pop. And he's a good player 2 years ago. Last year, he wasn't so good. This year, I think he's picking back up again. I think he's hitting close to 300, too. RBIs, Hernandez, Los Angeles got 34. He's hurt. I'm not sure when he's coming back. But Alonso's got 34 also. So we got Pete Alonso signing a big contract extension and doing well. And I think it would behoove the Mets to tie him up until he's in his mid-30s sometimes. 1 loss. 5 of them have 5 wins. Not going to go crazy about that. ERA, Yamamoto from the Dodgers is a .90. He is nasty, really nasty. Got 5 pitches he throws for strikes. And Rob Suarez from San Diego's got 14 saves. There hasn't been a lot of surprises so far, but one area that I've noticed is that some of the stars are getting hurt again, including Trout. I don't know what to say about Trout. I don't know when he's coming back, if he comes back. I don't know if he's on a 10-day list or he's on a 30-day list or a 60-day. I don't know, but there's some. Last night, Dylan Cease was throwing a no-hitter. Bellinger comes up, goes yard, 1-1 game. Next pitcher up, the guy hits. No, he didn't hit it. He dribbled out, and he's walking up the mound, and he's got his right arm hanging down.
Yeah.
I was saying, oh, no, not this. So they went out. They checked him out. He's got a forearm problem. What that means, I don't know, but he's not going to be pitching for a month probably. So I'm looking at a guy potentially throwing a no-hitter, struck out 8 Yankees, and he leaves because he's hurt. Why every year these guys they don't take care of themselves over the winter, and they come to spring training and they think they could all get it back together, and they don't. Uh, I don't know if they pay these guys anything to do that, but I think all the teams got to have some kind of out of season program for these guys to stay healthy. I don't understand it, but that's it in a nutshell, Daniel. Not a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I think the frustrating part when you talk about injuries and things that go on with these athletes is that, like you said, why is it happening the way that it's happening, the consistency that it's happening, and I learned from somebody over these last couple of years that the baseball throwing motion is not normal. It's not normal for the human body to be throwing in the motion that these pitchers throw in, and to pick it up and come over their shoulder and what they're doing. And so if they're whipping this thing hard, which they are, because they're trying to get this thing at you at 100 miles an hour, you got to think about what they're doing to their shoulder, what they're doing to their bicep, what they're doing to their elbow, and essentially that release of what they're doing to their wrist, because you're trying to take all the power in your body and put it through your arm. And so there are things that happen, but you also look at the quarterbacks in the NFL and you say, well, quarterbacks in the NFL, they can get hit, right? These pitchers aren't getting tackled. Well, quarterbacks in the NFL can get hit. It's a different throwing motion, but you're still involving your shoulder, your bicep. You're involving your whole arm when you release that ball, and you got to try and send it down the field. Now, I know from playing quarterback in just pickup leagues that if I'm not throwing in a proper motion, and if I'm just going out there and throwing willy-nilly, but I'm not trying to have good mechanics, my elbow would hurt at the end of games. My wrist would hurt a lot at the end of the game. So there is something to that. And there's something to the fact that like NFL quarterbacks seem to be better off than pitchers in baseball when they're both expecting a ton out of their arms. And so the pitching side of things, I would love that we figure this out, because Tommy John surgery, by the way, over the years, it's happening more to young kids. It used to happen seldomly. You'd hear like one pitcher a year, two pitchers a year. Now we're hearing kids 14 to 16 years old going through this in high school, in JV. And so they got to figure that out. And they got to, again, the throwing motion is not normal. So there's certain things that your body doesn't want to do, but there has to be something to how do we alleviate this? Mike Trout, God willing, will be okay. Unfortunately, he has been injury prone. He was moved out of center field to try and help him, and he got injured again. So, you just hope that things get better. Yes, it comes down to nutrition, and it comes down to weight room training, and it comes down to a lot of different things, sleeping and whatnot. But it also is something that we have to look at, that Major League Baseball, especially in pitching, loses so many guys. Now, I will say something to your point, PJ, about the fact that the world of baseball, where it's at right now, you said that the toughest division of the 6 divisions in baseball is the NL West, and I will concur with you on that, because it's the only division in baseball that has every team except for one with a winning record at this point that we're talking right now. There is no division in baseball that has 4 out of 5 of their teams with winning records except for the NL West. The Yankees lead the American League East. Everyone behind the Yankees has a 500 or worse record. The Red Sox are 500. Everybody else is below 500. AL Central, the Tigers, the Guardians, and the Royals are above 500. The Twins and the White Sox are below. In the AL West, the Mariners are above 500, and the Athletics, everybody else, 500 or worse. In the National League, the Mets are above 500. The Phillies are above 500. Everybody else is below 500. In the NL Central, the Cubs are above 500. Everyone else in the division has a median record, or has an equator record, a 500 record or worse. The Brewers, the Reds, and the Cardinals 19-19. The Pirates 12-26. The NL West is the only division in Major League Baseball right now at the time we're talking in 2025 that has 4 out of 5 teams with a winning record. The Dodgers are 25-12. The Padres are 23-13. The Giants are 24-14. The Diamondbacks are 19-18, and the Rockies are 6-29. So, to your point, PJ, the toughest division in baseball is the only division in baseball that 4 out of 5 teams are on the better side of 500.
That's true. Very good. Now, if you get back to the pitching is a violent motion. That there's no doubt about that. But what maybe people don't understand about this game is that they put pitchers on a pitch count for whatever reason. Say Dylan Cease has got 100 pitches per game. Well, that doesn't take into account him warming up before he pitches,
Yeah.
warming up between innings before he pitches, and then actually pitching. So if he's on a 100 pitch limit, why don't you add whatever he's warming up for, whatever he's throwing, what he's between innings? Those, to me, they're thrown all out. Especially the umpires are sitting back there trying to gauge the guy. Most of the umpires know these guys anyway.
Yeah.
So you're throwing 50 pitches at least in the dugout, or in the bullpen, and you're throwing probably 6 or 8 pitches between innings. So all of a sudden, the 100 pitch limit goes out the window because they've already thrown the ball 200 times to get in a game and throw 100 times. So, when people are talking about arms problems, as we've discussed, it's a very violent motion. It's a violent motion not only for the game itself, it's violent in the bullpen, and it's violent between the innings. So keep that in mind, folks.
Yeah, and that pitching motion, again, pitchers, we commend them, we respect them, and we also realize and should realize how difficult it is for them to play this game and to play it consistently and to be out there because of this throwing motion and what is asked of them. So a lot of respect goes out to these pitchers, and hopefully we can get something done here to help them out. The violent motion is going to be the violent motion, but there has to be some way of trying to protect them a little bit better so that we don't have to see them go out, and especially our young kids. You don't want to see a 14-year-old having Tommy John surgery when they've just started their life. PJ, any other notes in the baseball world that you'd like to get to before we finish up with baseball?
No, not really. I looked up Trout here. Trout is supposed to be on a 10-day IL. He has due to a left knee bruise. Don't know what that means. I don't know if he slid and hit it or maybe fell on the ground when he was out in right field. Typically with Trout, it's going to be longer than that. I would probably think that they'll increase that another 10 days.
Yeah.
Because Trout played for 29 straight games before he got hurt, which proves to me he can still play the game. And he wasn't hitting very well. He's hitting below the Mendoza line, but he had something like 8 home runs and 23 RBIs or something like that. He was bringing in runs, but he's not the same player that he was. And I'm the first one to admit that. I know I'll never see him win another MVP. I don't think so. And I think he's probably going to go off into the sunset in a couple more years. He's certainly got enough money in the bank, doesn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, no. That's a sad thing. And you and I have talked about Mike Trout a lot, and we've spoken about the fact that we want to see him play another 2 more years, maybe 3 more years. But unfortunately, he's been marred by injury. And he's just been affected by this awful fact that when he's on the field, he's great most of the time, but he hasn't been on the field. And there's been seasons where we've barely seen him. And so, they say that your best ability is your availability, and he hasn't been available a lot. And I know it hurts you because I know how much you love him as a player. And so my hope and my prayer is that he gets to end his career on his accord, on his decision, and not on the fact that his body just said, you know what, Mike, I've had enough. And I do, PJ, I feel terrible for him because I feel like we're living in this world where we're almost expecting something to happen with him, unfortunately. And I just feel like for as well as we know him, for his talent, we know him just as well for the injury. And I just want him to be able to end his career the way he wants to. I want him to go out strong. I'd love to see him in the postseason. I'd love to see him get to do something there. But it's really difficult to watch because it's one of the greatest players that we've seen in modern day baseball, but we don't get to see him as often as we want to.
That's true. We were talking about the Yankees earlier. The Yankees, justifiably so, are leading their division. But frankly, there's another big stiff that's on the IL list for so long. Mike Stanton, or Giancarlo Stanton, he calls himself now. I don't know when he's coming back. Devin Williams is their closer. He got bombed. He's got an ERA of over 10 as a closer. The Yankees do not have a very good team. Besides Max Fried as their pitcher, they got Austin Reed Wells as their catcher, which he's good. But besides Goldsmith and Judge hitting, there's not a lot of hitties. Volpe is the closest guy to these guys, and he's hitting 240. Everyone else is hitting below that. You can't wait for Aaron Judge to hit home runs every time. Last night, Dylan Cease struck out Judge 3 times. 3 times on sliders on the outside part of the plate. You can't expect this man, even though he's 6'7", 270, to carry your team. They have to have other players. And the Yankees have told me in the past that they'd rather sign aged veterans than go into their minor leagues. The only one that they've gotten from the minor league, the first round pick, was Volpe. That was in 23. Everyone else is, De LeMahieu is still on the IL. He's been worthless for 2 years. He can hit. So, where are the Yankees going with all these older guys? I said it last year. I says, bring your more rookies into camp and see if they can win some positions and play.
Yeah. Well, and it's tough. And we look at Giancarlo Stanton, where he's at right now. We're looking at the fact that he has told reporters recently that he hopes to be back before the end of May. He's not eligible to be activated from the 60-day injured list until May 27th. So it makes more sense that we probably see him in June. He's missed the entire season to date due to elbow tendonitis in both arms. Now, he allegedly looked at season-ending surgery. Now he's optimistic that he wouldn't need that. MLB rules dictate that positional players are allowed up to 20 days on rehab assignment. Pitchers are allowed up to 30 days. So we'll see what happens with his elbow tendonitis. I hope he gets better. I hope he's okay. I hope he gets to return to the team. But to PJ's point, I've jokingly said before that the Yankees will get a bunch of prospects. They'll draft a bunch of guys, and they'll have all these prospects, and then they'll trade the prospects away for an older veteran. And then when those prospects become good players, they'll overpay to bring them back to the Yankees.
That's right. There's another couple of issues I'd like to bring up before we end it.
Yeah.
The person that's the second in RBIs in the American League is Bregman. Used to be with Houston. Now he's with Boston now. Signed a multi-million-dollar contract, whatever. So Houston, who was my team last year to make the playoffs and go somewhere, I don't think they're going to do that this year because Bregman is gone. Kyle Tucker, their home run hitter and RBI leader last year, is with Chicago. The Chicago Cubs now. He's tearing it up. Yeah. So without Tucker and Bregman, the Astros are a shell of themselves. You got Altuve and everyone else. So, I don't look for Houston to go anywhere this year either. So I am surprised that Boston is only in 19-19, 2.5 games behind the Yankees. They got a better hitting team than that. And I've expressed my desire about Baltimore doing much better. Look, they got 10 kids that are under 30 that can play this game. And they need to get on the field and start playing. They did last year. They need to do it this year.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, toward the end of the season, we have to see. The Orioles years ago were really good in the first 10, 15 games, and then they drop out. Then they got good through the regular season, and they would get to the postseason and drop out. Then they became the number 1 seed in the postseason, and they would drop out. So we've seen the Orioles over time, they would get good and fizzle out. Then they would get good longer in the regular season, but still fizzle out in the postseason. Now we're trying to see, can the Orioles, regardless of seeding, get into the postseason and get a little bit farther? They've been taking steps over time can they take the step in the postseason that brings them even farther? It seems like if they have a good regular season in the last 2-3 years, they just don't have it in the postseason when it comes down to it. So let's see what the Orioles could do throughout this season. And if they can make it to the postseason again, will they be the team that actually shows that they can make it farther? Or are they a team that shows that they can get to about 162 games and that's it? We shall see with the Orioles. And as always, PJ, we appreciate having you here on the show. I can say to you that you and I will, in a couple weeks' time, be able to do a broadcast from down in St. Augustine together. And I'm looking forward to that. And I send my love to you, to MT, to Joey, and the entire family, obviously Miss Diana. And as always, I send my love to Marissa and Boom Boom. So, I'll talk to you soon, PJ.
All right, see you later.
Take care. That coming from Papa Joe here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here with us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back right after this, where sports meets life.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks, coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, is your one-stop sports card and trading card shop. Make sure you get yourself over to GG Cards and Breaks, and no matter what your age is, you can be a kid or be a big kid. And that's the beauty of it, folks. I've been collecting cards most of my life, and there were places that we had in Syracuse growing up that are no longer here. I didn't know if I was ever going to have a place that felt like home. GG Cards and Breaks is a place I think about all the time. I'm like, do I want to drive over there today? I went there yesterday. Do I want to go back today? And it's because of the people. It's because of Josh and Anthony and Alex and Joel and the whole team. It's because of everything that they have. It's because of their attention to detail. It's because they care. It's because they have knowledge and wisdom. They enjoy it. They open cards. They do fun stuff. And that's what I love about it. It's not just a bunch of people selling things. It's a bunch of people that buy into it themselves. They believe in the product. They know about the product. They bring it home. They have their favorite cards. They have their favorite moments from their childhood. They have the cards that they can't wait to pull. They get excited when they open up a box or a pack. And that little kid excitement in the staff, it trickles throughout the entire building. And it reaches each and every single one of us that walks through the door. That's why I said, no matter how old you are, you're still a big kid when you come to GG's. And head over there today. Soccer, hockey, baseball, football, basketball, as well as AEW, Disney Lorcana, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, and more while supplies last. They have packs, they have boxes, they have singles, they have graded cards. You never know what you're going to find. Autographs, potential one-of-ones, rookie patch autos. So many things at GG Cards and Breaks. It's like literally jumping down this flight of stairs. When you get up Christmas morning and kind of float down the stairs. I'm not going to suggest that you jump down a flight of stairs. Please don't do that, folks. Don't say, Dan told me to do that. I'm not. I'm just saying when you like run down the stairs Christmas morning and you want to see what's under the tree, that's like going to GG Cards and Breaks. You never know what's going to be in the case. You don't know what's going to be on the wall. And that's the cool part of it. So head over there today and know that a week from today on May 15th, we're going to have trade night, which happens every month. It's going to be back at the store, and we'll see you at the store for trade night this Thursday, May 15th. And it'll be 6:30 to 9:30 on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Looking forward to seeing you as always, Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6 and on Sundays from 10 to 5 for their normal scheduled hours. With that being said, here in Italy Week, Papa Joe being a part of the show today, I want to thank him. And Delrina said, stopped at Ma and Pa's Popcorn last week for the first time. Thank you. Of course, Delrina, my absolute pleasure. I'm happy to know that you enjoyed it. So Ma and Pa's is absolutely positively an incredible place, and I'm very, very happy for you going in, and thank you for trusting us here at Wake Up Call. That's, you know, you believe that you should go over there. You know, that's what we do. Like I said before, when it comes to the companies that we work with, we don't just work with anybody. I'm very purposeful with the businesses that we work with and the partnerships that we have. And I have to believe in the product, and I have to buy it. You know, I have to be willing to buy it and go out and experience it. And so, you know, Delrina, the fact that you went out to Ma and Pa's and went there for the first time, thank you for trusting our words here on the show. Thank you for trusting our belief in them. And, you know, it's easy for me to trust them because the entire team is great. The Bell family is fantastic. James has done a tremendous job. And, of course, Angela, along the years, has done an incredible job. JoJo is just the ball of positive energy that we all need in our lives. And honestly, the whole staff there, I don't care who it is. I don't care, you know, what event you're at. Ma and Pa's always brings the energy. They bring the positivity. They work really, really hard. And they're a great team that functions really, really well. And no matter where I've seen them, there's been no drop off at their attention to detail and their ability to work really hard and really purposeful. So I'm happy that you went. I'm happy that other people that watch and listen trust going to our places like Ma and Pa's. And Delrina, I hope you had a great time, and I hope you go back soon and you bring a friend. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, thank you for being with us on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com, Monday through Friday worldwide from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Of course, we're on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on any one of these outlets, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. You can also ask Alexa and your Google Home devices to play the latest episode of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and they'll do that for you as well. Make sure to follow and subscribe. And, of course, many thanks to Brooklyn Pickle down in North Kakalaki. You'll find them in Southern Pines down the road from Pinehurst Golf Course's beauty, 1788 Old Morganton Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. Go golfing and then get some good food. Either get the good food in you before you go golfing, or go and, no matter how you did, no matter what your numbers were on the course itself, go treat yourself to Brooklyn Pickle in Southern Pines down in North Carolina, 1788 Old Morganton Road. And make sure you let them know that Wake Up Call sent you. And, of course, visit our partners here in Central and Upstate New York, Great Lakes Honda City, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Servomation, Ma and Pa's, the snack capital of the world, Avicoli's Mother's Cupboard, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Canine Camp, Dog Daycare, Pizza Man, Brian's Landing, and, of course, we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Dolphins here Wednesdays during Dolphin time, Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni have all joined us over almost 4 years of coverage that you've never had like this anywhere else when it comes to Lemoyne. You can find all of our content by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. And, of course, you can, when you go to our YouTube channel, click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our Lemoyne Dolphins playlist. You will also find the Dolphins on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com, and as always, fins up. Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bobcats every month with student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni joining the show. And you can find all of our coverage with the Bobcats by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our playlist right there, BSC Syracuse, on our YouTube channel. You also find the Bobcats by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com and go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find the Bearcats during Bearcat Time every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. You will find the Bearcats here with you, student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni joining the show and telling their stories. You'll find all of those stories on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe and hit the notification bell. And, of course, find our Binghamton playlist on our YouTube channel. You also find the Bearcats by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to binghamtonbearcats.com and go Bearcats. With that being said, here on the show, I want to thank you for joining us for Italy Week, our final edition of Italy Week. In my return from Italy, sharing my stories with you, with card-carrying Italians throughout the week, and people that have been to Italy. Italy Week rounds up with Bob Casulo, longtime collegiate and NFL assistant coach. He'll be joining me on this Friday, God willing, May 9th, and we look forward to having that, as well as the annoying moment of the week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt. Lead, proudly presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero, and Top Dog of the Week, proudly presented by Canine Camp Dog Daycare. Thanks to Papa Joe, thanks to you, thanks to Italy for an incredible trip, and to all of the wonderful food, wonderful people, and wonderful experiences that we had in Roma, as well as Napoli, and Capri, Tortora, and in Maddaloni. We'll talk to you all very soon here on Wake Up Call. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. From the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, sending you my love, as always. God bless, no stress, do your best. We'll talk soon.